afternoon, a very warm welcome. You're watching the News Hour Agenda with me, Priya Behel. Today, for the first time, the Supreme Court has made public the report that has been submitted by the Supreme Court appointed expert panel in the Hindenburg Adani Rao case. On the allegation of price manipulation, the panel says that it would not be possible for the committee to conclude that there has been a regulatory failure. The committee has also concluded that it will not be possible even to return a finding of regulatory failure in compliance with the stipulations governing minimum public shareholding. The six-member panel report further says that there was no coherent pattern of abusive trading that has come to light either. So, does this mean that Adani Group of companies are in the clear? Or given that the Stock Exchange Board of India is yet to submit its detailed investigation into the matter and has been given 3 months or so to do so, those calling it a clean sheet are jumping the gun. To help us understand answers to some of these very tough questions, I'm now first of all joined on the broadcast by Ryan Karanjawala, who is a MD of Karanjawala and Company. Welcome to the broadcast, sir. My first question to you is, would you describe the SC panel's report as a clean chit to the Adanis?
Yes, broadly, I would go with that view. It is a clean chit. Basically, what happened was this, that the committee was asked to give its views on three things. The investigation before SEBI on whether there was a minimum public shareholding maintained by the Adani Group, whether disclosures of transactions with related parties were kosher, and whether there had been stock price manipulation. They've come to the conclusion that there has been no regulatory slip up by SEBI or anyone else. They have come to the conclusion that SEBI should conclude that there is a minimum public shareholding as far as this group is concerned. They've come to the conclusion that even in so far as related party transactions are concerned, the Adani Group has met the standards it was required to. And also that there's been no stock price manipulation. So broadly, I would say that yes, it is a clean chit. Of course, SEBI is still continuing. So when the ultimate clean chit or otherwise will come when SEBI gives its final report.
Okay, now let's get into the specifics. In my hand is page number 110 of this report, which says the ED has found intelligence about potentially violative and concerted selling by specific parties just ahead of the publication of the Hindenburg report, and this may lead to credible charges of concerted destabilization of the Indian markets, and SEBI ought to be probing such actions under security laws. What do you make of this, sir?
I mean, basically they're saying that this was short selling on the basis of the Hindenburg report, and SEBI should probe as to whether it was kosher or not. That's basically what they're saying. Obviously, we can't be the short sellers. We're hardly likely to sell our own shares. So this has nothing to do with the Adanis. It's to do with people who would be against the Adanis or wanting to sell at short in order to make profit.
Okay. Now, there are some parties that have affirmed that the FPI's investments are not funded by the Adani groups. Now, SEBI has found that some entities here took short positions even before the Hindenburg report was published, and which is why they profited. Would you say that Adani and group were victims of a hijab?
So basically, I'm sure what that means is in the context of related parties. So did they, through related parties, bring in money through offshore routes? That is what it would mean. Because out of those, there were 13 odd entities, 12 of whom were foreign. So that is what it basically means. Now, on that, at the moment at least, I can just take you to the executive summary as to what has been said in as far as related party transactions are concerned. It's at paras 29, 30 onwards. And at para 34, just to summarize, it says in any case, on both counts, minimum public shareholding and related party transactions, SEBI is seeking more time. We won't go into it. But later on, at para 36, it says the committee is of the view that it would not be possible to return a finding of a regulatory failure in the context of the regulations prevailing. So again, the Adani Group has been sort of exonerated in a sense.
But sir, if it is exonerating the regulatory failure or the lack of it, some can say that the report is more of a clean chit to the SEBI and not Adani's per se. Would you agree?
So what I did tell you earlier also was that SEBI is still investigating. So we'll have to wait for that also, that report to come through ultimately 2 months down the road or 3 months down the road, before we are able to say that the Adanis have been completely exonerated. That's what I said earlier also. But at the moment, certainly, because one of the things they said in the context of minimum public holding is that the Adani Group has met the standard requirement that was required when its definition was in consonance with the definition under the PMLA Act. And they've also pointed out that the regulation was changed in the year 2018, was amended in the year 2018. So essentially what they're saying is that as far as the regulations of today are concerned, the Adani Group seems to be kosher, but SEBI is still investigating.
Okay. Now, going to page 106 of this report, Congress has pointed this out that the entire concern expressed by SEBI, and this precedes the publication of Hindenburg report, is that SEBI is unable to satisfy itself that the contributors of the funds to the FPIs, the foreign portfolio investors, are not linked to Adani. It is evident that SEBI has drawn a and the publication of Hindenburg report has revived SEBI's efforts to attempt figuring out economic interest in the FPIs that have these investments in listed Adani stocks. Jairam Ramesh in his tweet has also quoted another part which says in patch 4, April 1, 2021, December 31, 2022, in which the prices shot up from around 1,031 to 3,859, the largest net buyer was LIC, buying around 4.8 crore shares. Now, why I quoted this to you and was quoted by Jairam Ramesh is because they are saying that this only further strengthens their argument that none other than a JPC can investigate, and that is the right body to investigate this.
Look, this is in the domain of the political this is in the domain of the political rhetoric. So I really don't want to get into it because, I mean, LIC is answerable as to why LIC bought or didn't buy. And as I've said, SEBI is in any case still investigating. So whether there's a merit to whether there's a JPC or not, frankly, I'm not in a position to offhand say. I can only speak as far as broadly what I've read of the executive summary of this report.
Okay, but sir, there are also some who are saying that Mr. Sharad Pawar of the NCP seems to have been vindicated in hindsight by this report. Would you also say that Adani group of companies were some sort of a victim of a political hit job from those who were keen on linking them to the Modi government?
For that, you would have to say that Hindenburg, when he came out with his report, was acting at the behest of some people who are inimical to some political parties in India. Wouldn't you have to say that?
Sir, it's quite interesting that you are trying to put words in my mouth. I would rather not say anything on that matter.
So I think, there's no evidence of that. What I'm really trying to say is there's no evidence that Hindenburg was acting in concert with any political party in India. So for it to be a political hit job is a stretch unless somebody knows more than what I do.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Karanjawala, for putting this complicated report into perspective for us and our viewers. On the other side, we open this up for discussion.